All right. Thank you. All right. Got it. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, back to Neferteri. Neferteri is a wonderful woman. She is a cyber technology strategist, military officer, and adjunct professor who aligns with her communities through emerging technology initiatives in K-20 science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, STEAM, STEAM education, which you can clarify a little bit, Neff. And the title of her talk is Joining Forces, Lessons Learned About Ways to Support. And Neferteri, take it away.
Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the whole team putting this together. We met during the pandemic. It was a very, very interesting time to convene, community build with women across really not just the nation, but the world. So I am beyond honored post-pandemic to connect with you in this way. So slideology for those of you all that have served, right? Don't be too hard a critic on me with the font and the size, right? You know how it can go. So I'm going to share my screen. When you can see it, just give me a thumbs up. Perfect. And I'm checking my slide advancer. Okay. So this first slide, it's all about me, all of the things I do. And I'll be transparent with you. I'm always really impressed to look at what you'll learn in the descriptions of my presentations. I always feel like they're promises, but I like to call them learning objectives. Today, it's not about me. It's actually about you. Today's learning objective is for you to clearly understand my lessons learned about ways to communicate why you need support as a woman who leads. And Jimmy, I saw you, so an ally who leads. Mm-hmm. This is in alignment with the Women Who Leads mission to enhance leadership capacity and mutual support for women veterans and non-veteran women through leadership, education, assessment, and development. So let's begin with just a proof of life. In the chat, place the number 1. I want to see what the lag is like. As an instructor, professor, lecturer, I like my audience to be engaged. The chat function in this mode of communication is the best way to do so. Adapt and overcome, right? So testing your engagement, I have a series of questions. There's no wrong answer. Star Trek or Star Wars? You're not supposed to smile. Some of you all are smiling. Buzz Lightyear or Buzz Aldrin? Yes, that is hard. How about this one? Army or Navy? I said there weren't any wrong answers, but there actually is a wrong answer with this one. And this last one is a yes or no question. Has anyone ever tried to convince you that Pluto was not a planet? So these probing questions are designed for me to discern the type of thinker you are, because what I'm about to ask you to embark upon is an exercise that requires imagination. So without violating your programming, your dogma, or your scientific model, I ask you, what color is the dress? I'm so glad you're enjoying this, Tracy. So in the chat, what color is the dress? And for the sake of time, the learning objective here isn't to accurately identify the color of the dress, but to accept that there are people who you come in contact with every day who see the world differently than you do. And we've entered a period in the 21st century where it's increasingly so through the use of technology existing and emerging. Augmented reality. It's predicted that in the next 5 to 10 years, our society will embrace commercialized augmented reality that seamlessly integrates into mobile devices and across industry applications to support real-time environmental understanding in spaces like retail, gaming, education, and entertainment. As an education consultant, this type of work is what gets me up in the morning, or as Wendy said, this is the stuff that makes me sing. In 2020, I established an LLC to engage formal and informal educators as an education consultant. And over the last 3 years, we've worked to provide access, connection, and sustainment to design, to disrupt, and reimagine education, because I don't believe it's enough to be a consumer of technology. Our students of today, our children, your grandchildren, they must be designers and developers of this technology. So the reason why I'm confident that this learning community is prepared to engage in my line of thinking today is because I'm going to share with you tools for empathy, perspective, and understanding using the science of solar eclipses. Since Kathy and Wendy asked me to deliver this Veterans Day presentation, I've been iterating. The question I asked myself was, what would add value to a community of high achieving, intelligent, and purpose-driven women and allies, Jimmy? My answer, perspective. I endeavor to sharpen your tool of perspective today, the perspective to frame 3 questions. Why do you lead? What is your mission? And who do you serve? First, I'll share with you a diagram on relational perspective to add to your toolkit. With this diagram, you'll easily identify your relation and proximity to people and their problems. The goal is to gain the perspective it takes to generate empathy. Then, I'll introduce you to 2 service-connected innovators who may or may not immediately trigger your internal empathy generation device, but these are your sisters in service, 1 veteran, 1 spouse. Finally, I'll ask you those 3 questions again. I'm confident the answers will be the same. My hope is the lesson in empathy generation will provide you with a cognitive tool as a woman who leads when telling her story. After sharing with me your answers, I'll provide you with a series of questions you could use to fine-tune that empathy generating device. Spoiler alert, the device is your heart. So let's begin. On October 14th, many of you watched the news, read the paper, or maybe a social media post that described an annular eclipse. In parts of North, Central, and South America, eclipse chasers gazed into the heavens to see the moon obscure the sun. I assume the audience in Phoenix with Wendy and Kathy are keeping their solar safety glasses as souvenirs. If you missed October, you'll have another chance to chase an eclipse. On April 8th of 2024, the sun, moon, and earth will perfectly align in the path of totality as it travels through parts of North, Central, and South America. This diagram is intended to imprint a mental model for you to understand where you are on the planet impacts your experience during this cosmic event. Your location determines if you are in the path of totality, which scientifically is called the umbra, or if you're in the shadow, the penumbra, or maybe if you're uneclipsed. But isn't this the case with life? This modified diagram, we've replaced the moon with a social issue: homelessness, illiteracy, depression. Are you in the path of totality, in the shadow, or are you uneclipsed? This audience needs very little preparation to understand the moon in the life of my first service-connected innovator. Ordinarily, I would need to create awareness about the ways we identify the military family and their service star. The blue star is for a family that has a current service member. The gold star is for a family whose loved one has died in service to our nation. And the proposed green star is for a family grieving any military loss to suicide. I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to you. When you read this quote, how does it make you feel? Margaret Laffman, she's the co-founder of Gold Star Gamers. They're on a mission to help kids that lost a military parent find hope and healing through competitive gaming. Gold Star Gamers was born when Martha's 9-year-old son, Duffy, lost his dad and gaming partner to a traumatic accident. Martha captured my attention through a LinkedIn social media post that read, "Last night, my son confessed to me. At school, he Googled rent a dad and found someone who would teach him dad things and play sports with him for $30 an hour. Then he went next door and asked their neighbor if he could work for money." Sitting in this experience wasn't enough for Martha. Addressing the problem for her son wasn't enough. As a woman who leads, Martha established Gold Star Gamers, a 501c3 that offers three main programs: mentorship, a training camp, and their flagship training camp program, where these kids get to game, win prizes, cash purses, and meet celebrities. So this model, this mental model that you now have, Gold Star Gamers helps kids like Martha's son Duffy process their grief. Through gaming, Gold Star Gamers rebuilds connection, self-esteem, and once again helps these young people find joy in life. So take a moment in the chat. What are your thoughts? If Martha were to read what you shared, take that moment and place it in the chat. This way of thinking didn't come to me overnight. This has been a lifetime of observing patterns in people, lessons learned from my soldiers and students alike. Effectively generating empathy requires that we not let the barriers, things like science, politics, dogma, prevent us from asking questions, because finding your place in this work will not come from talking to me today or listening to my lecture. It actually begins with you understanding who you are and understanding how to listen to the world around you. It's only through inquiry, questioning, and having the capacity to hear the response that you will grow to be the leader that your purpose is pulling you to be. So my next leader, I encountered this sister in arms on a beach in Miami, Florida. Yes, it was amazing. At a sustainability summit for the Black Innovation Alliance. So when that empathy generating device begins to work, there's no wrong way to feel. The feeling is what educates you, helping you understand where you are so you can become the gardener growing in the direction of your purpose. At the leadership retreat I mentioned, I immediately gravitated to this airman's mission and vision and her quote, "They are not in the same battlefield as I am. They are not even concerned with my battle." As we say in the military, Nikki, I've got your six. Since our serendipitous meeting in June, I've worked to understand Nikki's frame, how she sees the world and the place she has made for herself in it. So the story goes, after missing a flight while passing through an open air space in Atlanta, a bazaar of sorts, Porcher noticed something that was missing among the shoppers and the sellers. She looked around and she didn't see another Black woman. This stayed with her, as she found it curious that in this space of commerce, there was an absence that she subsequently made it her mission to fill. Nikki Porcher is a shining example of purpose, direction, and motivation, the Army's definition of leadership. In 2016, she started Buy from a Black Woman as a nonprofit organization that posted a registry for businesses that were owned by Black women. To date, her nonprofit organization has driven over $2.7 million in revenue towards Black women entrepreneurs. Wow. Nikki, too, is here with us in the chat. What would you like to share with her? I'll give you a moment to share your thoughts. Nikki, as a mother, an art teacher to middle schoolers, an Air Force veteran, you could have easily said, "I've done enough." And no one would blame you, right? When I present, it's hard for me to see the chat. I'm going to save the chat because I'm going to be really excited to see everyone's thought and sentiments. But as I promised, I was going to close with 3 questions. You need to ask yourself, this will be rhetorical because of the size of the audience. Why do you lead? What is your mission? And who do you serve? Has anyone ever heard of the 3 T's of stewardship? When I say it, you're gonna be like, yeah, I knew exactly what it was. I just didn't know it was called time, talent, and treasure, right? The 3 T's of stewardship. It's actually a broader quote from 1843. It actually reads, time, talent, treasure, and physical strength, which if applied to the promotion of social improvement, the advancement of science, and the furtherance of education, would convert in a very short period the whole earth into a paradise. Mm-hmm. So what compels you to give your time, talent, and treasure? Through inquiry, I'm hopeful that the following series of questions will help you gain perspective on what those in the umbra and penumbra are experiencing. Or if you're uneclipsed, right? Fine-tuning that empathy generating device. So the remainder of this presentation is not hands-on, it's actually heads-on. So if your thinking cap is in a cup of coffee, I'm joking. I'll preface this with, just like the Marthas and Nikkis of the world, you're under no obligation to answer the questions people pose to you about your why, your mission, your vision, your values as a leader. But as a good leader, be prepared to answer the question, because trust, it's preferred if not required. So I'd like to do a time check, Wendy. So I want to make sure that I use the remaining time well.
Okay. You have 20 minutes.
So I was under the impression that this was a 20-minute presentation, but I will go with it.
That's okay. If you could do 15, that would be really wonderful.
I can make it happen. Just be my timekeeper, yes?
I sure will.
Right.
Okay.
So these are the 10 questions, and each of you all will receive a PDF that shares the following information with you. So don't feel pressured into screenshotting. Nobody has to put in the chat, are we going to get these slides? Yes, you're going to get a product. So the personal experience questions, these aim to delve into your unique experiences and your personal impact, right? The circumstances you're dealing with. The perspective questions seek to understand and consider situations from the viewpoints of others, fostering a deeper sense of empathy. Emotion-focused questions identify and explore the emotions that you experience and others experience in relation to the situation. Historical context, how past experiences and the individual's history influences their current perspective and reactions. Aspirational, these are intended to explore your hopes, dreams, goals, and that's supposed to reveal what you aspire to achieve and how you envision a better future. Open-ended questions, these are broad and unrestricted for you to share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences to gain comprehensive insight. Reflective questions, it prompts you to consider changes in your perspective and insights gained through experience. You're supposed to learn and grow, and changing your mind is okay. And having a community that gives you the space and capacity to learn, adapt, and take on new information and change your mind is really important in this work. Listening and validating questions. Make sure I didn't skip over perspective. Yes, so support questions aiming to uncover the type of assistance or support that you need to navigate your current challenges. What are you asking for? Have you really thought about how you will apply it? Are you asking for the right things? Listening and validating. These are designed to offer you an opportunity to feel heard, which is possibly one of the most important things, and to validate your experiences and feelings. And so you can do it with others, those in the umbra and penumbra. Then clarifying questions. These are intended to probe a deeper understanding of your thoughts and feelings to ensure that you're clearly communicating, right, comprehensively. So those 3 questions. Why do you lead? What is your mission and who do you serve? We're basically talking about the 5 W's, right? Not so much of the emphasis on the tactical, but the strategic. So with the time that we have remaining, use your phone, use your computer, use a pen and paper. As we go through these 3 sets of slides, or these 3 slides, I want you to pick one question out and answer for yourself. And so at the end of that, you'll have 3 questions answered. That is almost like an elevator pitch for you when individuals ask you about your social impact mission. So the first one, why do you lead? You want to pick a question from the slide and answer it in relation to that social problem. Put a 1 in the chat when you're done. And Wendy, I'm looking to you for a thumbs up to move on. Are we ready to move forward? Three, 2, I'm advancing. What is your mission? Select a question. Thank you. And answer that. This is your second of 3 questions. I'm going to start wrapping this second question up.
One, just give another minute.
Will do. And we're advancing.
Okay.
Who do you serve? There's no wrong answers. Just your answers. Start wrapping this question up so we can pull it all together.
Okay.
Perfect. Time, talent, treasure, and physical strength. Sharing your why, your what, and your who can shed light on the social issue that those in the umbra and in the penumbra, and often at times you're in the umbra or you're in the penumbra. And so this is about stakeholder management. This is about generating empathy that can transition into compassionate action. And Wendy, because you had, because you shared, we had extra time than I anticipated. I would love to hear first from Nikki, and then I would love to hear from a volunteer who would like to share some of the answers to their questions. So Nikki, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Neff, for having me. I really appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Happy Veterans Day. Nikki Porche with Buy from a Black Woman. We are an organization that educates, empowers, and inspires Black women business owners and the people who support them doing a number of different programs, advocacy work, community involvements. And we recently just had an award show in Orlando at a Black-owned television studio. It was phenomenal. One of the reasons why I leave, as Neff shared with you all, I went to an event and I didn't see anyone who looked like me. And for me, it's important to have spaces where people who look like me, who feel like me, who think like me, feel comfortable. So for that is the reason why I lead. I want to make sure that when I go somewhere and there's another Black woman in that space, she doesn't feel like a stranger. She doesn't feel like she cannot speak or say anything, and she doesn't have to be uncomfortable. I try to take that discomfort away to ensure that they are comfortable. And also I have to shout Neff out because she's making sure that that veteran part is being said so much now. I've served in both Iraqi and Enduring Freedom as an Air Force. So when she said Army or Navy, I just put Air Force because neither for me. We go over here at Air Force, making sure I'm saying that loudly and proudly, because there are so many women veterans who are suffering in silence and not knowing that they have strength and power to lead in different ways and facets of their life. So I'm grateful for my peer. I'm grateful for my sister for sharing space and allowing me to share my voice in her place. So thank you.
I love you for that. And I love you for the work that you are doing. You are absolutely amazing and absolutely wrong about that airman thing, but I'll leave it.
I tell people, I say, hey, we got paid more and then there was air conditioning and heat. So, whose fault was that? Not mine.
Listen, I didn't say you weren't smart. That's not what I said. Thank you so much, Nikki. So, I didn't think that Martha was going to join us because she's in Vegas right now. So, Martha, are you able to unmute your mic?
I am, and I apologize for being late.
No worries. So did you miss everything?
I think I came in halfway.
Okay. Well, I'd like to at least give you this opportunity to share what you're experiencing right now, because you're at the Military Influencers Conference. And this, for some people, they see that top of the iceberg, right? They don't see all of the work that you have done. So if you had, 30 seconds that you wanted to share what you're experiencing, what's next for you, Gold Star gamers, and your family, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. I don't know. It's crazy. So these conferences can be very intimidating, right? Because there's a lot of people here, and it is a lot. It's mostly men and mostly veterans, and I'm neither. I'm a military spouse. But for the first time at a conference, I had 3 different people come up and say that they knew who Gold Star Gamers was. And it filled my heart so much. Like I had the best day ever yesterday because I thought, oh, the past year and a half of my life, I quit my job, cashed in my 401k. I've been self-funding this nonprofit, mostly working, like in a silo, 60, 70 hours a week, like a lot of entrepreneurs do, right? Like we all do or more. And you think that nobody care, or nobody, maybe they care, but that they don't know. And so just having that recognition, just having a stranger come up and say, I know you, I heard about you, made my day yesterday.
That's amazing. And I feel like I was that stranger a couple of weeks ago. So someone made an email introduction. I shared with those in this virtual room that I saw your post about your son on LinkedIn. And then I reached out to Wim, right? And he made an LinkedIn introduction, then an email introduction. And you all are not going to believe that later the same day, I went to an event I actually wasn't going to go to. And Martha was there in Philly. I was like, wow, okay. I understand that there's work to be done between the two of us, right? So I'm very happy for you. And when you have a moment, save the chat, because those here have left their thoughts for you when I shared your experience. Don't have
Oh,
too much,
wonderful. Thank you so much.
of course, and don't have too much fun in Vegas, okay? Um,
Never.
so your answers matter. You do not have to share your answers with us, but if anyone is interested in sharing their thought process, we have time for one of those. I'm taking a volunteer, or I'll volunteer someone. Are you sharing, Robin? Or is your mic just unmuted?
No, I see Tanya Dougal's hand up.
Perfect. Tanya, will you unmute your mic? Talk to me about, I mean, this could be an old hat for you, the information that I've shared, or this could have lifted your lid this morning. I'm hopeful of the latter. What are you thinking?
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand, so
Oh,
not
okay.
sure about how that
All right.
happened, but
Voluntolding.
sorry.
No,
Okay.
voluntolding. We're voluntolding. We're voluntolding.
no worries.
Sorry about that.
Stacy.
It was my mouse that turned into a hand. It was just over your name.
Vanessa Donaldson did raise her hand.
Okay.
All right. So
Oh, yes. Hi, I did raise my hand. Thank you. I was in late too. Just came back from the van life with a cracked windshield, so we had to go take care of that early in the morning. We've been off grid in Canada and Alaska. So I love these questions. I'm a life coach for military spouses that are transitioning. So this space is just beautiful for me, and veterans. I seem to attract a lot of female veterans that are, oh, they have so many skills and they're just stuck. There's a few, I always invite them here and tell them you got to come to Women Who Lead and check in there, because you're always going to leave with some nuggets. And they're just, they're stuck. And I feel bad that even some of these military spouses, that they're like working at 7-Eleven. You know, I mean, one lady I met on LinkedIn, she's like, I can't set up a call with you. I'm working at night as a stripper. Like, this is the reality of paying bills. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you served in the military. You've gone from serving in the military to being a stripper now to pay your bills. You know, single moms. I mean, the list goes on. But why I lead is I'm 2 steps ahead. I'm a military spouse of 27 years in December, married to a retired Marine Corps veteran. And I want to be that support for those ladies who are behind us. Like, I've done it. I've lived it. We've done, I don't know, 8 moves, transitioned plenty of times. My husband deployed 5 times, Iraq, Afghanistan, combat veteran. And if I'm just sitting here with this information and total support, and I'm a Christian, like, I'm not shining my light. So whoever's going to be passing my pathway, I'm going to be there. I'm passionate about that. I'm going to be talking to them. I'm going to be pointing them into another direction. I'll talk to males as well with veteran disability. I do audits now for a third-party company to make sure they get their disability rating. So that's huge for me. We use the same company for my husband. So I saw how that brought him from, you know, the percentage rate he was at being shot at to where we are now. So those are all my reasons why. So I've lived it. I've lived the life, and I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do with my time other than to invest back into the community that I've been in for years. Eventually, I would love to have a spouse support group online, in person, maybe if we're settled, but we're traveling with the van life so much. We're out in nature, we're exploring, we're doing all those things we couldn't do together, being in the military separate. We're still, I mean, married 27 years. It's kind of a lie. I feel like we've been married half that time, because half the time he was away and I was with the kids alone. So we're making up all this lost time. But there's still our business skills. If you're running a business, that's a whole different world for me. I just want to talk to the people and help the people. So I need people like you to keep me in accountability of, oh, there's a business side to this too. Like, if you want to get your messaging right and all that. But yeah, that's why I lead, and that's why I love coming in the space that Kathy set up. And I come and go, but I tell people now I work at a nomadic pace. It's the season of life I'm in, and I'm not going to take away from that quality time with my husband and be in a room on a computer all the time if I can be in a canoe catching catfish with him. Like, it's just the way it's going to be. I show up when I can, and touch people here and there, and hopefully, you know, bring value and share resources. And that's it. There's my rant. You called on the wrong person.
No,
I'll keep going.
I didn't, right? There is no wrong person. There's just you.
And Neferteri, if you could just wrap it up, I'd appreciate it.
Wilco.
Thank
So
you.
Vanessa, we appreciate your share. When thinking about where you are in this diagram, you shift, right? When you talk about those that have life choices that you want to help them navigate, you're not in the umbra. But when you're talking about catching catfish with your husband because you didn't have that time when he was serving, you are, right? When you're talking about your husband's service, you're in the penumbra, right? So keep this mental model. The PDF questions that you will get, use yourself, share with others. I hope it goes far. And I want us all to remember, right? And really my hope to you is that your social impact work, formal or informal organization, will continue. And I hope that if you do formalize your organization, that you'll join the list of service-connected innovators who are successfully communicating their value proposition clearly and concisely to the world of time, talent, treasure, and physical strength, which, if applied to the promotion of social improvement, the advancement of science, and the furtherance of education, would convert in a very short time the whole world into a paradise. And if this way of life, if this way of thinking was new to you today, I welcome you. And I ask you to remember that alone, we are just women. Together, we are a force of nature. Wendy, Kathy, thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Neff. That's beautiful. All right. That is absolutely positively wonderful. And I'll tell you, I learned so much every time I listen to our wonderful speakers. And Neferteri, you just outdid yourself. And I hope that we go on LinkedIn and you will post your slides for us to look at and utilize, correct?
I will drop the link to the Google
Okay.
document in the chat, or yes, in the chat. If you could stop the recording, they don't have to edit anything, right?
True. Okay, so can we stop the recording?